been Wood Fellowship, Teacher College at Columbia University, ILT Graduate Assistantship, Teacher College at Columbia University, and Ministry of Education Elite Study Board Scholarship for the curriculum and teaching group. This is so amazing. Yeah. All right, Professor Chang, it's time to present your material. Then you'll have 60 minutes to get the presented your material. So please,
okay,
time is yours. Okay.
Okay, let me just try to share my screen.
Okay, you want, okay.
Yes. Oops, wait, sorry, because it's my first time to use it.
Oh, no problem.
No, I mean, this computer is new to me, so let me try to, oh, wait.
Okay, yeah. If you need some help from committee, let's say that.
Oh, sure, but it seems, wait, sorry, okay, just allow me to quickly like change the settings so that I should be able to share the screen. Oh, sorry. It seems I have to re-enter this in order to share my screen. Would that be okay for everyone? Sorry, I need to re-enter this meeting room in order to.
Okay. Okay, it's no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me see.
Take your time. No problem.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. Technical. Okay, it seems it's working now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can see clearly.
Oh, great. Okay. So always the technical issues in an online meeting or classroom.
Yeah, I know that.
Kind of like the everyday life I have to deal with and to like stay with. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. It's my pleasure to be part of this webinar, and I will spend the following 50 or 60 minutes to talk about the topic. I changed the title a little bit. I want to talk, of course, the main idea is to talk about the learning and teaching approaches, models, or changes we have experienced in Taiwan over the past year. So this is the topic here. I want to say that COVID-19, could that be an educational blessing in disguise? Meaning that even though it caused lots of problems, casualties, or death, challenge to life, but in terms of education, back in the classroom, could it becomes a blessing, which means to propel teachers to re-examine their teaching approaches or to rethink about their teaching approaches and try to adapt it to the next level or change it to an online environment. So I'll always try to think from a more optimistic perspective, hoping that the COVID-19 could be a blessing in disguise to our classroom, to higher education here in Taiwan. So that's my topic. And COVID-19 could be an educational blessing in disguise. So we talk about lessons I learned from Taiwan. And thank you for the previous introduction. So I can skip this part quickly. So I'm currently assistant professor in this program. It's quite a mouthful, so allow me to read it. It's called the Allied Health Education and Digital Learning Program. So it's quite a mouthful, but in a general sense, what we try to do here in this program is we try to bring in learning technologies to inspire the learning and teaching in healthcare education or in nursing education. So that's what all the professors, all the faculty members here tries to do in the Allied Health Education and Digital Learning Program. And I'm with the National Taipei University of Nursing and Health Sciences. Okay, so the title of the university is a little bit long. So that's the organization I work for, and that's where I'm from. Okay, so here, I just want to mention that I don't have any professional trainings in nursing or in any healthcare education. So my expertise is actually in instructional technology and media. But from that's my start point to enter this university, this program. So I want to see whether it's possible to run some interdisciplinary studies or try to use technology as a way to help nursing education to make some changes or try to make learning and teaching more effective. Okay, and my research interest revolves around using learning technologies to facilitate learning and teaching in clinical education. In particular, I use narrative animation and or other digital curation tools. So let's just give everyone a general background information about me. Okay, so for anyone who haven't been to Taiwan or who haven't been to our school, NTUNHS, it's actually located in northern Taiwan in the metro area of Taipei. Actually, it's very close to the metro station. So it's like 20 minutes ride from Taipei main station. So if you got a chance, just feel free to make a stop here. And I think the most famous part is that you can hear an ambulance, the sound of ambulance, because there are two major big nationwide university hospitals like around the our university, and it's like incubator for all the nurses here in Taiwan. So that's what I know about the school. So if you got a chance, feel free to stop by and visit our campus. It's a mini-sized campus, not really big. Okay, so this is the topic again. Once again, it's the topic for today that I would like to talk about, whether COVID-19 could be an educational blessing in disguise. And okay, here's just an agenda, an overview of my talk for today. So first of all, I would talk about the development or the current status about COVID-19 in Taiwan and its impact on learning and teaching activities, and what are the problems or challenges we have faced in online classrooms because we are forced to do online instructions, and what we learn from building online classrooms, what we learn from facilitating online interactions, or how to make learning more engaging in an online environment, and followed by some closing thoughts. So this is just the agenda for my talk today. Am I speaking too fast, or is it okay for everyone? Okay. All right. So like when I run an online class, I always try to make sure all my students they are following me, or otherwise it's kind of awkward to talk to a silent monitor. So that's also a challenge that I'm facing every day. Okay. So this is the street scene in Taipei. In Taipei City, if you haven't got a chance to visit Taipei, Taiwan, probably I'm just wondering, probably it's very similar to the street scene in Indonesia. So you see hustle and bustle of cars, especially during rush hours. That's the street scene before COVID-19. But once the outbreak of COVID-19 happened, so that's the street scene. Probably just a single bus, no pedestrians, no cars, everything's gone. So that's what I have seen over the past year. So if we relate the scene to the classroom, when all the students are gone, there's the classroom is empty. So the teacher has to face an empty classroom and run an online course. So how would that look like? And what are the possible challenges, problems, or obstacles that a teacher might confront? Since most of us don't have any experience teaching online before, right? So from the street scenes, I want to relate that to how faculty members in here try to run an online course during the pandemic era. Okay, and we are bombarded with the numbers every day. As you can see, the infected people, the official infected people in Taiwan has, it's like a roller coaster. The number keeps going up. So Taiwan used to be a controlled area, I think. But these days, the new virus, the outbreak of the new virus actually causing many problems or new situation that we don't know how to deal with. So all the schools are now, they wonder what to do next. So just give you some background information about the numbers here in Taiwan. So there actually will be a press conference at 2 p.m. every day to tell everyone on the island how many people are infected today and what we're going to do next. Okay, so I just want to use this graph to let you know about how schools are dealing with the COVID-19 here in Taiwan. So let's start with the junior high school and universities. Most of the junior high school and university has switched to online learning or distance education since late April, I think, since late April. Okay, so just to prevent the outspread, to prevent that many other people will get infected. So we switch to online learning. For the elementary schools, it's kind of tricky. Like the government said that the school principal can decide whether to go online or to go like in person, or they can do mixed blended learning. So that's the case for elementary schools here. Last week, I think there will be was a new policy just announced. So I'm not sure about whether in the coming week, whether all elementary school here will switch to online instruction. For the kindergarten, all the kids are, most of the kids, I think, that still stay with in-person learning. Okay, probably that's because their parents have to work full time. So even if there's a health concern, but most of the schools here stay in-person learning. So also just through this graph, I hope to give everyone an like overview and a basic understanding about what's happening here at schools at all levels. So from kindergarten to elementary school to junior high school to universities, this is the current status here in Taiwan. But today, of course, I was gonna to focus on the problems, challenges in university settings mostly. Okay. All right, so in Taiwan, we use Zoom. Zoom is also very popular in corporation, but in school settings, like take our school, for example, we use Google Meet or Microsoft Teams as the primary tool to run an online class over the past year. So this just give you how the online classroom look like. So probably, as you can see from this slide, just only the teacher turn on his camera. For the rest of the class, it's just an icon, on the screen. So that's how, and they are very silent. No one wants to talk. No one will interrupt you. No one will even ask questions. So the teacher look like he or she is talking to a silent screen. Okay, that's how I feel most of the time when I run an online class over the past year. Okay, so that's how the university setting look like. Here, it's a totally different scenario. It's actually in the actual classroom of my son when he took his online course during the pandemic last year. Okay, you can see what do you see what the difference are? So everyone wants to turn on their camera. Everyone wants to join. Everyone wants to talk. So the teacher has to stop everyone. So please mute your microphone, and just one person at a time. Okay, you have to follow the rules, but they want to interact. They enjoy this process. Okay, they want teachers to hear that. They want to express their ideas, their thoughts, regardless of what that is, but they want to share, they want to talk. So when I see the huge contrast, huge difference between a college online classroom and a classroom in a kindergarten from my son, there are so many thoughts going on, and I keep asking myself, why do we enjoy learning, thinking, asking questions as a child, but not as an adult? I'm not sure whether this is the case in Indonesia, but in Taiwan, this is actually the case I'm facing, and I'm trying to solve. Like, why when we switch to online teaching and learning, and then my students they just stop from learning, thinking, asking questions. Okay, if that's the case, how am I going to deal with that? And how am I going to make online interactions more engaging, more fun, or in ways that can motivate my students to participate and talk? Okay, so from the previous two slides, that's the kind of the core questions that I'm trying to deal with and I try to solve. And so I want to bring in some learning technologies or new applications that might change the way they learn or the way they interact online. Hopefully. Okay. So so what follow up will be, I will talk about the problems and challenges in online classrooms here at National Taipei University of Nursing Health Sciences. Okay, so in the classroom, just there's the students on the right, the teachers, the students on the left, teachers on the right. So there's probably they're expectations for an online class is, oh, great, we love online learning. It's literally a fast pass to earn credit. So to be honest, all my students, they look forward to online learning. Because that way they can just do whatever they want during the online instruction. They just want to earn the credit to skip the learning process. I think for them that's how they align their learning motivations when the school announced a fully online instruction. That's how students expect the online instruction. For teachers, oh, it's different. Okay, I just realized that having screen here will, okay. They say, oh, not again. We prefer face-to-face instructions. That'll be a lot easier. It might took me like triple the time to record an online learning session or to prepare the online teaching learning materials. So please just switch back to the in-person lectures. Okay, so you see the expectations are totally different, but the two sides should work toward the same goal. So that's where the problem happened, right? Okay, I hope that makes sense to everyone here. So that's kind of the background information. That's the situation. That's the content information we have to, think about. And so that's how we can just solve all the following problems or challenges. Okay. Yeah. So what are the problems and challenges for an online classroom during COVID-19? I tried to briefly join the morning sessions, but too bad I don't speak Indonesian. But from the slide, I can figure out probably some of the issues have been mentioned and deeply discussed in the morning sessions. So I think when I ask everyone these questions, what are the problem challenges, there must be some answers that pop up into your brain, regardless it's a learning issue or teaching issue or like technology issue. I believe if you took like a minute to think about these questions, you can ask yourself, so what are the major problems, challenges that could, cause troubles during an online course? And you can spend a minute to think about that. Okay, so from my perspective, I think the learning and teaching problem challenge can be summarized from three perspectives. The first one definitely be the teacher side issues, followed by learner side and technology side issues. So I try to summarize and to categorize all the issues into three categories, and I'd like to share with you some of my findings from the three perspectives. Okay, for teacher side issues, okay, the first one will be the lack of experience to teach online, especially for a nursing college like NTUNHS. So it's very hard. Sometimes you have to show the students, like in online class, you can only show a video clip of yourself. How can we teach students to smell something, to touch something, to feel something? And how am I going to convert all of my lecture slides into online format? So we don't have this kind of experience to teach online. And also there will be restrictions to teaching strategy use. So for example, if you want a student to feel something, to feel the weight, or to do some problem solving, hand-on problem solving by themselves, it seems difficult to, to do that online. And also, sometimes it's really hard to manage online classroom, and you can't just ask your student to turn on their camera all the time. But how to manage the classroom, how to make sure that everyone is actually listening to you, and not missing any point. It's hard to manage the online classroom. And if you want to find some help from technologies, there are various learning technologies, various apps. How should I choose from? And which one work best for me? Okay, and it will be very difficult for any teacher to monitor their students' learning progress online. So that'll be another challenge. Okay, so these are the five teacher side issues. I think what I found over the past year when we run an online course. And also this also like my reflections from after discussing with my colleagues, with other teachers, and ask them what could be the most headache for them to run an online course. As for the learner side issues, okay, so let's move on to the learner side issues. Okay, as I said earlier, they just treat online learning as a fast pass. They don't want to devote their time and efforts to engage in online learning activities, even if you give them an assignment or a concrete learning goal. They're still, I mean, the mindset is still there. Also, they are unwilling to ask questions. They may feel shy, or the Asian culture here is not, not really encourage people to ask questions, but it's just not right, because they need to ask questions so that they can think, they can do some critical thinkings, okay, so that they can generate some knowledge through that process. And they're reluctant to interact online. They don't want to they, share their ideas or talk to their group members. So that means they also reluctant to join group-based activities, even though the current video conferencing tools allows teachers to form group-based activities. But my experience telling me that my students are not really willing to talk, or probably there's a couple of them talk, but the rest of the group remains silent. So it's kind of hard to run an online course like that. Okay, then I'll talk about the technology issues after we have spent some time to think about teacher side, learner side, and then will be the technology side. Okay, uh, how do you select the online teaching tools? Okay, so in this case, like if in case we are choosing a learning platform, there would be Google Classroom, Talent LMS, Moodle, and tons of LMS out there. Which one would be the best one suit my need? Okay, how to select, and then how to integrate different tools. For example, we have Google Meet, we have Google Classroom, and we might have other online interaction tool like Kahoot or like the Edpuzzle, which I'm going to talk about. So how do we going to integrate all these tools as a single line for student to join? How are we going to manage multiple accounts? And how are we going to tell the student when to switch to which tool? So the integration of different learning tools will be another challenge for technology side. Okay, also the time needed to learn these new tools. Even though these tools become quite friendly these days, but I believe for teachers, they still need time to invest, to investigate, to practice, and to select those tools, to learn the tools. Okay, and the last one will be hardware software compatibility. That will always be a concern, like which tool works best with macOS, Windows, or Android cell phone system. That will always be the first question to think about in terms of technology issues. Okay, so sorry, the last one is the internet stability. Yes, of course, especially for today. Hopefully everything will run smoothly, because I'm not sure whether my internet is stable enough to for this conference. Hopefully, there won't be any delay or any data loss for today. Okay, so internet stability is always a concern. All right, so so I try to summarize the issues that teachers, faculty members might face from teacher side, learner side, and technology side. Okay, so then I would talk about some thoughts for building online classrooms and what we have learned over the past year. In fact, at National Taipei University of Nursing Health Sciences, we have formed communities of teachers to talk about and share their teaching method, teaching approaches during the COVID-19 pandemic era. So that will be a very helpful process when we exchange our ideas or share our thoughts with one another. Sometimes it's very important for this because if I find some tools that are very useful, I can share that with my colleagues, and vice versa. So they will share theirs with mine, and I believe this process is really very helpful during this pandemic era. Okay, so it's just a scenario for you guys. I don't know whether you have experience to personally assemble a furniture or something you bought from IKEA. Okay, so someone just probably you just open the instruction and then you jump in and start to put things together, and you're happily putting everything together till step 30. At step 30, you suddenly figure out, oh no, I made a mistake probably at step 15. Well, then you have to tear everything apart and go all over from scratch again. That would be a headache. So in some sense, building an online classroom is similar to that scenario, okay? Which means as the designer, as the teacher, you have to have a map first, okay? Make sure everything's ready and make sure that you run the investigations so that you don't have to go back in the middle and then tear everything apart, switch to a different tools. So the pre-assessment is very important. If the pre-assessment is done completely, I think there will be fewer problems or challenges later on. Okay, just to use this scenario as a way to kick off my upcoming slides. In online classrooms, in a general sense, all the learning and teaching can be categorized as synchronized learning or asynchronized learning. So given each type of learning model, there will be corresponding tools like Google Meet, Teams, and Zoom, the tool we're using here as a way to run synchronous learning, a synchronous meeting. For synchronous learning, there will be Moodle, LMS, or other self-made LMS. Okay, I believe participant in this conference should be familiar with all these tools, or if in case you have previous experience running an online course, so these names shouldn't be strange to you. Okay, so that's how let's take Microsoft Teams, for example. This is just a sample classroom scene here. Never mind about the Chinese characters. That's not the key point. This just a screenshot I captured from a previous classroom. So this is how the classroom looked like. It's pretty similar to the Google Meet classroom I showed you earlier. Okay, we just see icons, we see names, we know how many participants here, but the interaction is really limited. And if from Monday through Friday, if you're facing this screen most of the time, and that's how the classroom look like, I think you kind of get bored. And as for the teacher, you don't know how the students are doing, right? So that propels us to think about, could there be other alternatives or solutions to make this online learning environment more engaging? Okay, so here are some reflections. So we feel like learning tools are convenient, like Google Meet and like Zoom. They're convenient, but probably in college settings, they are not engaging enough. Okay, they're good for video conference, but probably they're not engaging in terms of learning. So that student to student or student to teacher interactions could be weak, and group discussions are doable, but not convenient enough. They're doable, yes, but not convenient enough. And lastly, students do not have any sense of belonging to this online space. It's kind of strange to say someone have a sense of belonging to online space, but you might get what I mean in the next couple slides. Okay, so we switched to this tool called Gather. I don't know whether this is popular or have everyone ever used this here in this seminar. Okay, so what this tool tried to do is it give you a sense of belongings. So every student have to choose their avatars before joining the classroom. Okay, so you have your own avatar. You can change the clothing, you can change your face color, your hair color. So you can do all the customized settings. And then the classroom is fully customizable. So that means students can build up their class, they can design their classroom, how their classroom look like. As you can see from the slide, there are different sessions, session 1, session 2, session 3. there are actually different meeting rooms for students to go to when they enter the space. So it's very similar to the way you play video games. You use your arrows to move around your avatars in this virtual space, okay, to kick off learning. So to be honest, it's a totally different experience as compared to Google Meet or to Zoom, to Microsoft Teams. Okay, so this is how the actual classroom look like. This is our classroom. So you can still turn on your camera, as you can see here from the example. You can still turn on your camera, but you can have your avatar walking around in the space. Okay, so when we run a whole class lecture, everybody just gathered in this brown zone. So that's the primary area. So once I send discussion question to them or assignment task to them, so they will spread to different, move on to different meeting rooms that they have just designed. So that just make learning more engaging, more interactive, and also they have a sense of belonging to that place. They feel like the boundary between learning and playing video games or doing something, not that formal, the boundary is blurring. Okay, so that's why we have been trying this semester, and we start to realize the tool like Gather could actually, bring so much fun interaction to the online classroom. If you haven't used Gather before, I put this QR code here, so you can just scan the screen, and then that will lead you to the official website of Gather. Okay, and if you're interested, I think you're more than welcome to explore how the Gather look like. You haven't tried it, I would suggest you to give it a try if you want to run an online course. That will make learning more fun for college students. Okay, so I think the overall change is that we try to add a game element and the social interaction experiences to the previous learning, to the new learning environment that could make learning more engaging to college students. Okay, even though I really want to make a stop here to ask, have everyone ever used Gather before, so that I can get a sense about your understanding, or is this tool popular in Indonesia? Have everyone used this tool before? Yes? No? Okay. Okay, so if you haven't tried before, you can feel free to download it. Oh no, not download it. Go to the website. It's a fully cloud-based application. Just go to the website, and then you can just sign for account, and they offer the account integration with Google. So if you have a Google account, it will quickly generate your classroom, your meeting space, and they even have games, small games there, so that students really feel like they're in a space not just to learn, but to interact with classmates, to talk with classmates, and they will have their privacy when they enter the meeting room. So we think this is a great replacement for Google Meet, for Microsoft Teams. And of course, there are other similar tools out there. So Gather is not the only option. There are more and a lot more this kind of I called it like the avatar, a game-based learning classroom that teachers might be able to use for running an online course. Okay. Okay, I need to move on to the second part, which will talk about how to facilitate online interactions. Okay, so now we have a classroom, a game-like classroom out there. And the next question is, how am I going to facilitate online interactions? Okay, so we have the classroom built, it's good, but how are we going to generate more online interactions? So here are some of my reflections. Content itself is passive, that's no doubt. So how should we make learning more, but learning should be, should be an active information processing process, right? So how to encourage their online brainstorming as a group, and how to make learning content more interactive. And lastly, how should teachers assess students' learning outcome online? So here are the three questions that I want to spend the time to think about and try to see how I'm going to approach this question, these questions. One of the online collaborative brainstorming tool we have been using over the past semester is Lucidchart. Okay, once again, there are tons of similar tools out there, but after we make some like comparisons or use it in actual classrooms, we found that Lucidchart is a great tool to for online instructions. So what does it do? It actually allows students to interact, to do some collaborative thinking, brainstorming, or problem solving work online. Okay, once again, I put a QR code here. So if you want to explore Lucidchart, that should lead you to the official website. If the link is not working, please let me know. Okay, so it's just like this is how the interface look like, very neat and clean and simple. So so what we did is we tried to generate links for different group of students so that they can collaborate online, work together. So from the teacher's side, I can clearly see and monitor like who are actually contributing to this work. There will be their names, next to the graph, the icons, or the shapes that they added to the workspace. So you can not only tell whether everyone is contributing, everyone's joining the assignment, or you get a sense of how their collaboration look like, and who contribute to the assignment, to the topic the most. Okay, so Lucidchart is one of the tools we have been using in the classroom. And the second one will be using some multimedia annotation tools. So for example, this is just an ordinary X-ray image, and I'm not a dentist, and of course I don't have any expertise in this field. I just download this X-ray image from the internet. So this is an X-ray image. Imagine that if a teacher would like to teach anything about what are the most important information hidden in this X-ray image, how should the teacher do? How should the teacher direct students' attention to this X-ray image? So we end up using a tool called ThinLink. It has been, experimented for in our actual classroom many times. So what does the ThinLink tool do? It allows us to put little marks onto this X-ray image. As you can see here, okay, you can put you can see different little annotation here. I think you can quickly figure out, you can put, so once the students see that there are little marks, annotations on this X-ray image, they can click on it, and then it will lead the student to other materials. It could be an image, a website, or a YouTube video like here, or even a question, a self-paced question. Okay, so that this passive X-ray image could become an interactive learning element for the student. Okay, so ThinLink it's a very simple tool to learn. You can quickly import any image into it, and then start adding your anchors or arrows, annotations onto the image. So that means you can turn a passive content into a learning interactive learning element very quickly. Okay. Also I have these their official website link here. You can, if you would like to give a try, you can scan the QR code. So ThinLink is another tool we find it very useful in an online classroom. And also, I want to spend a minute to talk about online assessment. We used to use Google Forms as the primary tool to assess our students, their satisfaction or their knowledge level, at the end of the class. But in an online course, we feel like this is not interactive enough. So we found other tools. So here's one example. It's called the Edpuzzle. I believe it's a very popular tool. If you use Google Scholar and use Edpuzzle as the keyword, you will quickly find like tons of articles you talk about how Edpuzzle can be used into different classroom settings. Okay, so what does Edpuzzle do? So for example, here you can import any videos from YouTube or the video that you took yourself, and then add questions to the different time points. Okay, so that when students view this video, okay, take this one for example, maybe at the 10-second, you want the student to make a stop and then answer the questions before they move on to the next scene. So you can actually make a video into some assessment tool with Edpuzzle. Okay, so this is another tool we find very useful, especially when in courses we need to ask students to watch video and then write down their reflections or answer related questions in that video. Also, this is a very great way for us to understand whether the student have carefully and watched the video or not. Okay, so probably just what they used to do is to click on the video and then they just to do something, they went on to do something else. We don't know whether they actually watched this from the beginning to the end. But with Edpuzzle, it will be a lot easier for us to monitor their learning progress or whether they really understand the content. So this is another tool that we found very useful. And the QR code is also here. So if you want to explore more, you can feel to like know Edpuzzle more. So these are the three tools we find very useful to make online interactions, to generate more online interactions or to make learning more engaging for the students. Okay, as for the third part, I will talk about how to make online learning more engaging. So the second part is about the online, how to make the content more, content part more interactive. And the third part would be I would like to talk about how to make online learning activities more engaging. I don't know the case at your school, but here in the nursing college, to my understanding, our teaching are mainly still lecture-based, okay? And most teachers use Kahoot as a popular tool to, assess their student learning outcome. I mean, even in face-to-face classroom, Kahoot is popular here. So Kahoot is popular, but not novel for the students. So everyone is Kahoot. And I believe it still have its limitations or restrictions in actual classroom settings. So that leads us to think about, is it possible to integrate more game elements into classroom, into learning activities? How to make learning online more engaging. Since we have the previous experience with Gather, the one I just showed you, a game like online learning classroom, is there any way we can make, the assessment or the learning activities more game-like with other tools? Would that be possible? Okay, so one of the tools I would like to recommend from experience is Nearpod. Okay, you can scan the code that will lead you to Nearpod. So it's a little bit similar to the Gather tool that I just showed you. So with these tools, students have to pick up their avatar. Okay, once again, they have to pick up their avatar in this when using this application to teach and to assess student learning outcome. So they have to use their avatar first, and then, okay, this is the scene when all the students join the learning activity. Okay, you can see like people like all the people like having their avatar. It's quite crowded in the scene. So their goal is to climb. This is called a mountain climbing activity. They have to walk from here all the way to the top of the mountain. So see, the designer tried to, bring in the mountain climbing concept to the design of learning activities. Okay, so this is how the actual learning look like. Teachers can design questions here, and this part are answers. Okay, so all the students are standing here as the start point. So, okay, so once you answer the questions, you will you probably will go forward. If you answer it correct, you will go forward, and if you answer it wrong, you will stay in the original state. Okay, so with that way you can see the progress, right, along the way. See who are making a lot of progress, who are answering the questions correct, who are still stay at the same place. So that's the way for teachers, they can monitor their students' learning progress. As for the student, they can not only see their own progress, but they will see how their peers are doing along the way. Okay, so this tools, from our experiences, will make online learning very engaging to the students, um, as compared to Kahoot or other similar tools. So when we teachers, you try to use tools to visualize the learning progress or the learning path, it seems students are they're more willing to join and more motivated to join the learning activities. So here, I would like to share with you this tool Nearpod. It definitely make learning more engaging and more fun to our students. But it's not difficult to learn. And in fact, you can actually use it as a teaching tools because you can integrate your lecture slide here. So by following the QR code, I think that won't be a too difficult tool for you, for everyone here in this forum to learn. Okay. I feel like I don't want you to feel like I'm selling or try to selling like these tools, but actually they didn't pay me anything. All these tools here are our experiences. Nearpod, Edpuzzle, ThinkLink, those tools are really a great help for us when we run an online course, and that's why I'm going to share with you here. Okay, so I think I still have like 10 minutes left, so I will talk about my closing thoughts. So after the pandemic, after the year of online teaching, I feel like hybrid blended learning is inevitable. It's an inevitable trend. So even when the COVID-19 is fully, under control, I believe all the teachers should be equipped with this ability to select, choose, and integrate new learning technologies into classroom settings, regardless of online or face-to-face teaching. That means, given the Nearpod tools I just demonstrated, it can be used in face-to-face classroom settings, not just for online classroom settings. Okay, so hybrid blended learning should be inevitable. Teachers have to equip themselves with the necessary skills or literacy skills to run a hybrid classroom. Okay, content is passive, but learning should be active. So the ultimate goal, I believe, for teachers is try to make the learning more interactive in ways that their learners can quickly understand and process the upcoming information. I think for me, that's still a challenge. I was keep asking myself, is there any possible ways to make this learning unit more fun or more close to their expectations, or in ways that can reduce their cognitive load or adhere to the multimedia learning principles? Like those questions. Okay, so I think we need to think about that question and those questions in a very careful way. Okay, and collaborations and interactions are critical to learning and teaching. Even we're running an online course, we can't see each other. As I think for teachers, we still have to think of ways that can facilitate collaboration in actions. So for that, I think using game-like element or try to bring in students their video game playing experiences or their social interaction experiences as a start point to motivate them could be a very effective solution. So that's why we try to bring in many game-like or learning tools that has game features, competition features. Okay, learning technologies are becoming friendly for novices. That means even if your expertise is not in educational technology, it will be very easy. It's the pandas process for you to learn and try this learning technologies. So if you spend a minute, you probably figure out there are tons of learning technology out there to help teachers run their online courses during the pandemic era. Probably the difference is how much they charge or what are the major functions that they offered. Okay. Lastly, I think COVID-19 is indeed an educational blessing in this disguise, because without the outbreak, the COVID-19, without online courses, I probably won't take time to think about what are the problems and challenges in my current classroom. So once I switch online, I kind of serve as a mirror that shows me where are the problems and what should I get started to solve and what to do. Okay, so for me, I feel like COVID-19 causes a lot of troubles to my teaching routines, but it indeed helped me, propel me to think about what I can do and what technologies can do and what I can collaborate with my colleagues as a community to help our students. Okay, so I still hold a positive, attitude or view perspective toward all the influences from the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so this is the last slide to wrap up my talk. I don't know whether the Three Little Pigs, fairy tale is popular in Indonesia, but here is a very popular one. It kind of inspired me that how much effort, your dedications you put to build up something and what you will end up with, right? So if you're willing to throw in lots of efforts, investigations, or pre-assessment before you build your online classroom, online learning environment, your content tools or your assessment tools, the more you think about, the more time you spend to build up that space. And I mean, the learning outcome could be more effective. You get more positive feedback from the students based on their motivation of learning, based on their willingness to participate in activities. So this is it's a process that takes time and efforts. You need to survey different tools. You need to survey the students' feedback. You need to keep asking yourself, is there anything I need to do to make this more engaging? You need to constantly, check on what you're learning, your teaching approaches and the student learning outcome. It takes time, but if you spend enough efforts in the right way, I think that will pays off. Okay, so that will be the talk from me for today. I hope that all the experiences, my classroom observations of the tools that have been used will help you or will inspire you in some ways. Then I think if that will happen, then it'll be really great. Okay, thank you guys for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Chang, for the insightful presentation and sharing the experience. And Professor, actually, we have some problems and challenges in here in Indonesia, like in Taiwan on learning model for the internet stability, especially. Yeah. To be honest, we are here if want to hold online meeting, always pray that there will be no disruption regarding the internet. Because Indonesia for internet speed is still very slow, and there are always disruption for that anytime. And especially that for the pandemic, we agree that we have some struggle. They are agree that we have required to make an innovation to allow us to move, especially for the education system. Everything need to be overhauled and adjust to the current situation. So the system is in that required to be flexible and attractive to the audience. And that the sentence that I choose the Mr. Professor Chang, making online more engaging. That yeah, Professor Chang, allow me to conclude your presentation to the audience in bahasa, ya, bahasa Indonesia, ya. Untuk audiens, kesimpulan dari presentasi tadi yang disampaikan oleh Profesor Chang, kita semuanya sebenarnya memiliki perjuangan yang sama begitu ya untuk dalam menghadapi pandemi ini. Jadi membuat pergerakan kita terbatas, oleh karena itu kita perlu membuat suatu inovasi yang memungkinkan kita untuk bergerak gitu, khususnya untuk di sistem pendidikan yang mana memang perlu dirombak dan disesuaikan dengan situasi yang ada saat ini. Bahkan tadi kita melihat contoh dari Profesor Chang bahwa adulting itu malah interestnya sama model pembelajaran yang khusus untuk anak PK begitu. Jadi the game presentation and something like that itu lebih suka diterima oleh adulting gitu. Jadi kita dituntut sebagai fasilitator begitu untuk membuat sistem model education yang memang sifatnya fleksibel dan menarik untuk audience begitu. Thank you very much once again for amazing presentation, Professor Chang. Yeah,
Thank you.
and I hope Professor Chang is still willing to stay here until the
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we are going to the last speaker for this session, Dr. Sylvia. Dr. Fia, can you hear me?
Yes,
okay, nice. Yeah. Okay. Firstly, before you present your material, I want going to read your profile first. Yeah, maybe a committee show in profile.